Since the start of Lightfall, Strand has been in the forefront of our minds. Initially, we all thought it was going to be absolutely terrible, and now it has surprised us as being probably the strongest subclass in the entire game. Titan from the get-go has been a very heavy suspend character, but with the addition of Season of the Deep, we got a new artifact that is essentially changing that up and making us a lot more of an offensive Titan rather than a defensive Titan. What's going on, everybody? Birdman here with another build video. Today we're going to be showing off our new Strand aspect build. This is an absolute crazy unraveling melee focused build, so be excited for some pretty awesome things. From the get-go, I've been using the Monte Carlo on this because I've just always been hot for the Monte Carlo, which is all the different melee abilities we've had in the game, especially when Void 3.0 came out and we were able to use that throwing shield. Now it is working absolutely stellar with this new aspect, so let's show it off. But before I do that, you can follow me on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give a like, comment, all that fun stuff. I don't really need to make this go on any longer. Let's hop right on into the build. So whenever I do these videos, I always like to start off with the exotic that we're going to be using for this build, and it's going to be Synthoceps. Now, to be completely honest with you, I think actually Heart of Inmost Light would be a better option for this, but to avoid the comments down below being like, oh my god, another Hoyle build, I decided to throw on the Synthos, just because, again, this is a melee build, so it's going to help out our melee. It raised increased melee lunge, improved melee, and super damage when you're surrounded. So all in all, just constantly being in the thick of it with this setup is going to be a good choice for you. And like I mentioned before, the Monte Carlo, I've just always loved this for the fact that its intrinsic trait reads, dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. So just pouring into like a horde of, thralls, you're more likely going to get your full 3 stacks of your melee back on this setup. And then you also have addition the Markov chain. This weapon gains increased damage from melee kills, and kills with this weapon. Melee kills grant ammo for this weapon. So it's just really nice to just jump up in the air, activate all those charges of our charged melee, and then having a full mag ready to go to just pour out and essentially just get our melee back. Going over the subclass and everything you're going to need, obviously we only have the Blade Fury available, but Blade Fury is absolutely stupid with this setup. Again, Synthos really do help it out a lot, and I recommend just constantly pushing forward and being in the thick of it. You are going to be fine with this setup, especially the fact that it's able to suspend and sever enemies. Obviously, we only have one melee to use, but I honestly think the Sever melee, the Frenzied Blade, is absolutely stupid. The fact that we're able to just take advantage of that Sever and just have kind of some momentum melee is really cool to me. And then obviously, we always want to use Shackle Grenade. It's just the best option overall. I mean, Threadlings aren't really going to help you out with the setup. And I mean, I guess you could use Grapple, but with all the changes that they've done to it, it's just not for me. And obviously, Shackle is able to affect all different champions, so we really like it. For our aspects, we're always going to keep on into the fray. This is going to be an absolute must, because destroying Entangle or casting your super grants Woven Mail for nearby allies. While you have Woven Mail, your melee regen rate is increased. Obviously, we want Woven Mail constantly on the setup, because the more charges of melee we have, the more we're able to take advantage of this right here, the Fletch Storm. While sliding, activate your charged melee ability to leap into the air, knocking nearby targets away and dealing damage. So this is really nice for just like pushing targets back off of you, especially, again, like I keep mentioning, if you are in the thick of it. But the second part, while airborne, activate your charged melee again to launch a cluster of damaging unraveling projectiles. Repeatedly activating melee will chain additional throws. Now, just to like kind of cover this real quick, Unravel, it reads, the target is permeated with destructive strand matter. As they take additional damage, they create unravel projectiles that seek out nearby targets. So this is just nice for just affecting foes all in all, and also the fact it's able to affect barrier champions, we really like. And then unravel targets unwind in a tangle when defeated. So we're able to take advantage of those tangles with some of these fragments we have down below. But Blood Storm, again, like I mentioned before, it's essentially taking what we had in Dringer's Lash and just turning it into an offensive ability. So I really like that we kind of, again, instead of going from a Strand defensive Titan, are going into a Strand offensive Titan. For our fragments, we're going to want to use Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy. We just want to be able to throw that Shackle as much as we humanly can. Thread of continuity, suspend, unravel, and sever effects applied to targets have increased duration. Obviously, we're using all three of these on this setup, so you definitely want to make sure you have that continued duration for it. Thread of transmutation is our next one. While you have woven mail, weapon final blows create a tangle because that feeds perfectly into thread of fury. Damaging targets with a tangle grants melee energy. So this is going to be from shooting the tangle and exploding, hitting targets, or just grabbing it and throwing it at targets as well. So again, this is just going to take advantage of getting as much melee energy back as fast as possible. Obviously, with the Monte Carlo, we're already getting that back pretty fast as is. But to be real with you, they're like these first three are like absolute busts, and like this fourth one is kind of like up in the air. You absolutely could like add something like Thread of Mind for that increased suspend duration, but I just think that, you know, Thread of Fury works better. I always like to go over the weapons. Obviously, Monte Carlo is the biggest one. I just put on Null Composure and a Regnant, just because I feel as though those are all really solid weapons right now for the setup. I'm able to swap over, get some good damage with Null Composure, or if I'm dealing with champions, I can pop out my Regnant real quick and just nuke them. For the armor and mods you're going to be using for this setup, obviously, you're going to, on the helmet, be wanting to use Kinetic Siphon just to get plenty of orbs off that Monte Carlo, and then also hands-on access to assets to get plenty of super energy whenever we are using our, obviously, our grenade or our melee, including those projectiles that we are shooting from our aspect. You can change off this access to assets to another, you know, Kinetic Siphon if you really want to take advantage of more orbs, but that's just kind of completely up to you at that point. On our arms, we're going to be using Impact Induction, causing damage with a melee attack, reduce your grenade cooldown, just helping us get that shackle back as much as we humanly can. Heavy-handed for getting those orbs power with melee final blows. I definitely don't think you really need a grenade one because you're mainly going to be suspending people, so this is going to be a nice one to have. And then finally, Kinetic Loader, I really enjoy just to get a faster reload because we're also going to be taking advantage of the damage that the Monte Carlo is providing, so having a faster reload is solid. On our chest piece, this one's kind of more up to you if I had to be honest. I went with one charged up for that extra armor charge stack, and then just 2 concussive dampeners just to, you know, help out with some damage reduction. On our legs, this is another one you can kind of leave it up to you. I decided to put on 2 kinetic weapon surges to get that extra boost on our Monte Carlo, but you can swap these out for maybe like 2 absolutions instead, just to get that regen back from picking up orbs power. But again, one of those things where it's kind of up to you in the moment what you want to do. And then finally on our Titan Mark, we're going to be using Reaper, so that whenever we activate our barricade on our next weapon kill, we're going to get an orb of power. So we'll end up essentially getting 2, especially with that kinetic siphon that we've got going on. And then I just did 2 distributions. Just for using that around enemies, gives us a little bit of a cooldown. You can swap this out for a powerful attraction or a time dilation. Again, one of those things, you're gonna get annoyed with me saying this, it's completely up to you. When it comes to our artifact, this one is a little bit odd, I would say. I definitely recommend getting Technicolor Siphon if you want to just take advantage of, you know, those double arc and strand mods. It's not really that important, but the most important one is really going to be this improved unraveling. Increase the amount of damage dealt by unraveling a target. So it's just going to increase the damage on each of our targets that whenever we activate that projectile on. This is an absolute juicer. If you want to swap to like maybe a strand weapon instead of the Monte Carlo, which I don't recommend, you can use Strand Soldier, but again, definitely something where just using the Monte Carlo and this improved unraveling, you're going to be absolutely fine. Thanks so much for watching this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, you don't really have to use Syntho Steps. You can use the Heart of Immo slide if you want, but I just like the extra melee damage that we're getting from this setup. But yeah, this Strand aspect is absolutely busted, and they have proved that Strand is going to be the most meta subclass in the game for a while. Getting Woven Mail, getting that Unraveling, getting that Severing, it is just like, essentially when I look at it, I go, wow, this is Void 3.0 on absolute steroids. I really, really love it, and I can't wait to try out some more Strand builds coming up here soon. But until then, know you can follow me on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give a like, comment, and subscribe. Become a member, give a super thanks, any of that stuff, and just let me know what are some other setups you are interested in seeing. But until then, thank you so much. I hope you guys had a great night, day, or whatever it may be.